All right, hello and welcome back to DragonPoetSociety. I'm Nicholas, your DM and resident writer. We're taking back the next step for the Lumoria campaign. Our lovely cat, aka Venostus, is going to be coming in virtually, and we're going to have the ghost of the cackler that I will be portraying off screen, but should be back as people's schedules change and shift around. But we're making it as much as possible so we can still play, still be here with you guys. So thank you for tuning in at home. For those of you at home, let me know how the volume is and everything okay. I think you want to move just a little bit that way, Sarah. See you're on the cams. There we go. Everyone on cams. Hi. Everyone good. Hello. Kat, can you say hi so we can get a volume check?
Hello, hello. Test, 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 test.
Okay. Well, those of you at home can tell us how loud that went through. It looks pretty good on our side, but we'll double check. So thank you for tuning in. We're going to pick up right where we left off. So with the recap, when last we left off, the party had just received some worrying information, pressure tactics from Terrafleas regarding the missing lumens, his demands, with his words sort of looming over the party as they were deciding what to do next. And that the precious supply of lumens missing were somewhere still in the city of Solney. Before they could get too focused on the search, though, the party heard the strong news coming resounding through the city via the crier stones, these magical stones sharing news throughout the city, that told of the recent and widespread shadowy flicker event in the nearby towns that struck at Brightmeadow, Tinderbluff, Sunstream, and Shimmerleaf, four of the nearest towns to the safe city of Solney, and the farthest north that any such flicker has been known to happen. The news came particularly hard to Anetka, who revealed that she has family in the nearest town of Brightmeadow, which is known for its livestock, its meat, and its other animal goods. Taking the lead of the startled party, Tennille urged the group to the wealthy Jules Ward to meet and seek help from someone he knew. Tennille also received a separate message from the team's Lorebright Stone that reminded them that information pertaining to flickers and to the history of Duovia were both worth a premium for this program at the time. As the party followed Tennille to the Jules Ward, they visited a local up-and-coming shop, a merchant, Tristophan, at Tristophan's General Goods. They approached him about a marketing opportunity to spread the word about his store and to rival the existing established businesses, and to get a discount on their goods. They also purchased one of his secret grab bag satchels at a very discount price, getting some good adventuring gear for a steal. After beginning their marketing scheme / advertising campaign, the party followed Tennille up through the Jules Ward and to the manor of Kelnara. There they met Galen Kelnara, a prominent noble in the city, and as it transpired, Tennille's uncle. After a brief round of introductions, Galen provided the party access to his library, his esteemed and prodigious library full of different tomes, texts, and histories. They also gained access to his study, or at least spoke with him there to get some more materials about different interests that the party members had, but also to get some more information about these flickers themselves. Galen gave a stern talking to Tennille, but also offered him a 50 gold loan to assist him and helped extend some travel arrangements to the Shrine of Alito on the road to Brightmeadow. After getting involved with this plan and hearing some more about the information there, the party got a few interesting tomes that they checked out from Galen, and that piqued their curiosity. By contrast, our resident Goliath Slate instead had a rather disturbing vision of some things disappearing around him, libraries and books crumbling. It was doubly disturbing because he had been picking up on what he thought was somebody following him, or following the party throughout the city. So further curiouser and curiouser as things develop. Readying themselves for the journey, the party visited a few other shops before approaching the southern gate and seeing a rather outspoken protester who preached against the governments of both the Radiant and Shaded Reaches. which are the dominant powers in Sanctus, and as well against the Prismere. He urged the people to rise up against these governments and band together to battle and deal with these flickers themselves. Now, as we return to the party, they are prepared to make haste to Brightmeadow, the two-turning journey to find out what became of Annetka's parents there and learn more about these flickers and their widespread effects. So, with that, team, what is everyone doing? You guys are still in the city, the southern gate area. I'm just going to reach across here, sorry. Do we want to lay the map here on the table there? Megan? Do you want to reach across?
Yeah. Cool.
Yeah, here. So we'll flip this around so camera can see, hopefully nicely. Alrighty. So team right now is in... Just flip this. Team right now is in Sulney. And the goal is to get to Brightmeadow. How's that showing up? Ooh, not great. There we go. Okay, team is right now in Sulney, and the plan is to get to Brightmeadow, which is about a 2-day journey, two-turning journey, as days are known as turnings here. So that is where the team is bound on their next venture or leg as the burgeoning marketing adventuring team that they are. So you guys are in the southern gate. There's a hustle and bustle, a grim mood to the city. You're noticing maybe a bit more of an influx than an outflow of individuals at the gate. People paying the gate tax, handing over coin to the guards who are checking individuals during this troubled time. What's everyone doing?
Do you know the way home?
Presumably, because she
Yes,
made this.
you would know the way.
Yeah. Yes, I think let's set out quickly, try to make haste.
Before we go entirely out, should we send a message to Terrafleas so that he doesn't instantly stab us in the back and tell him we still have intent to do his mission?
I mean, I don't...
Do we think he'd keep track of us?
Yeah, I don't recall him, from what I've heard, giving like an exact timeline on the mission.
We have until the turning, right?
Yeah, the mid-year's turning, which is not too many turnings away. But then there's also the end-of-year turning, the New Year turnover, which is sort of the extended deadline. He'd much prefer you reach the first one and said that your reward would be greater if you did attain it by the mid-year's turning, but that if you retrieve the lumens by the end-of-year's turning, that you guys would still be rewarded and could avoid any trouble as he goes down to go down with him.
Mm-hmm. I think he will keep quiet for a bit because turning us in could reflect poorly on him at the moment.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. I just wonder how far those lumens are going to get. I agree that Brightmeadow's a good place, but we might have our work cut out for us when we come back. So maybe.
But I mean, we saw one of the people we thought could be connected, and it seemed like she could teleport.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, it really doesn't matter how much time they could be continents away by now, just from that.
So you do remember Terrafleas mentioning that you can't teleport in and out of the city without approved charms and specialized circles that allow you to do so. So it's unlikely that it's possible this individual maybe had attained one of those charms. You're not sure, but that would be something at least that you would know. But to your point,
yeah.
Who's to say?
Who's to say?
So,
Go ahead,
go
Renasus.
ahead, Lena. This is out of character. Would Renasus know, how far is the Shrine of Aledo from the city?
Either you or Anetka might know, but it's about the halfway point between that and Brightmeadow. It's about a turning away. So that would be roughly 20-ish miles, 20, 25 miles. And yeah, you guys know that there are signposts to different cities and stuff. There are roads connecting. It's not like you're just wandering the wilderness for the most part, as far as you're aware.
Right. I mean, I'm good for going to Brightmeadow. It's just maybe we don't dally.
I would agree that let's get there
And
right
let's
away.
get to your family. The sooner the better, yeah?
Should we ask maybe to see what the quality of the roads are? Perhaps this guard that's collecting this gate tax might have heard some stories.
I mean, I have traveled this journey fairly recently, so I was able to make it without too much trouble.
Very well.
Shall we then?
Let us.
Let us.
Okay.
Let us.
So, as you guys begin your journey, everyone's traveling at normal pace, I'm guessing.
Slate's running. The rest of them are walking. Slate just...
Okay.
No, I'm
Pace
kidding.
go
I'm
for
kidding.
it.
I'm kidding.
Make an athletics check. No. We'll, you go ahead and get started, but we'll have at least a couple people kind of take point on who is going to be the lead for sort of taking point on the perception checks and or any other types of checks that might come up. Obviously, you guys can volunteer as they come up, but anyone who's wanting to volunteer at the moment to keep...
Netka would probably lead to start since she's made this journey a few times.
Yep, okay.
Is anyone going to walk up front with her?
I mean, I can join.
Or I'll go up
Unless
front
you
with
want
her.
me to.
I'm going to give myself, I'm going to vigilant blessing myself. So that if something happens, I have advantage
Okay.
on my initiative.
Just so everyone can see, I probably want Slate in the back.
You're not seeing that. Fair enough, yeah.
Yeah.
Although the exit path is quite wide, it's wider than 2 people, so you guys could go, 4 abreast or 5 abreast or something like that if you wanted to. All 6 of you could go shoulder to shoulder, so that's great. But yeah, you get. Oh, good. Thanks, Tapsman, for confirming. Good volume from Kat. All right. So with that, as you guys are exiting, you're noticing generally a poor mood and a lot of frustration. You're kind of overhearing some arguments. It looks like a local, not Vianthan caravan, those sort of that caravanning culture, but maybe a local trader or small-time tinker trying to get into the city and is arguing with the gate man there about increased gate tax. It was never 2 gold before. What's the deal with it being increased? Sir, during these troubled times, it is normal for this to be an increase in order to increase safety and security, and those funds will be redistributed towards, and he's kind of like giving the spiel of like, yep, we're putting those funds to good use, yep. And he's like, oh, back in my day, this was never this expensive, and you're just kind of overhearing that as you're exiting. There's no exit fee, so you guys are able to carry on no problem. But you're already noticing that, and it seems like there's starting to be a line forming to get into the city. And you're noticing that a lot of people are pretty haggard looking, stuff like that. You do notice a particular what looks like a royal box of some kind, palanquin, being borne by 4 very buff looking individuals who are all wearing masks. You are noticing that, and not a lot of happy looks at this situation over there as well, but and they breeze right past. They don't pay the gate fee or anything like that, and that is even more upsetting to many of the people who are.
Any marks or anything on it that I might recognize? Like any family signs?
Make a general intelligence check.
Boy, I'm not as
While
smart.
she's doing that, is it when people, after they pay the tax, are they given like a piece of paper? Like a writ or like any... Or is it just like the person will be allowed into the city?
Yeah, it's just a barring entrance kind of deal. It's not a
Gotcha. Okay.
it's not a to and fro anytime you want to go kind of deal. It's just that to get in, it's 2 gold. What was your result there, Tony?
7. I probably don't lose anything.
No, you don't. You notice it's quite adorned with jewels and jewelry, and tassels and rich cloth, but it's not adorned with any kind of crest or heraldry.
Okay.
Neither are the guards, interestingly enough. Which is pretty strange for someone of that.
What do the masks look like?
They are pretty blank looking, just the eyes, and then like slots for like the breathing area.
It's
Stuff
not like
that.
the revelers' masks. Like
They're not revelers' masks of any kind that you have seen. But you do notice that... Actually, go ahead and make a perception check for me.
14.
14, yeah, you do notice that there appear to be like curling down curls to the bottom part of the mask. So you're not sure what to make of it.
Like little pincer kind of look.
Almost, yeah. Almost like little
Huh.
curls or pincers of that beneath the chin.
Anetka look at them going in. It's like, well, that seems typical. The rich get advantage, and they're fleecing the poor. Typical Solney.
Fleecing the poor, says the cackler. And he's kind of like sizing everybody up, kind of like fleecing the poor.
No.
Boss says no.
It's like he's here with us.
Gotta do him justice, man. Gotta do him justice. All right. So, you guys move on. Otherwise, though. Okay. So you guys are continuing on, and outside the city gates, which are open at this hour, you notice that a lot of the surrounding territory of Solney, and those of you who are native to this region would know, it's a lot of neighboring farmland. A lot of this particular farm area is mostly to deal with crops that are immediately put to use. But you are also aware that there are many, and you can see them, what look like, kind of imagine like one of the Hobbit houses, the mounds with a big door and stuff like that, except they're like steel double door situations. And it looks like there's also neighboring lifts and pulleys. These are entrances to the underfarms. You know that the lumens are put to myriad use in farming technology, especially in escaping the eternal heat of the sun in this region by creating faux on and off cycles for light to help expedite certain plant growth. This is also especially, and most importantly, to the Solnian people, how they get their vineyards and their wine. So most of the underfarms are consisting of wine or other some kind of fruits or spirits that are used in, or fruits and other materials used in spirits. But as you're moving forward, you guys are carrying on. Why don't you go ahead and have the two leaders make perception checks, please? And also, feel free to mention anything that you guys want to do along the way.
19 for me.
13 for me.
Okay. So you guys go on for a good long while. It's a long haul, and you guys know to make a good pace. It's pretty common for, as you see passing travelers and individuals, it's pretty common for, as Renasus mentioned, to have some kind of hood or hat, something to shade themselves from that. Shade cloth bandanas are fairly common as well. Different materials to help protect from the heat of the eternal sun up here. But otherwise, it's a rather, for those of you who may be a little more heavily clothed, it might be a little bit of a warmer journey. Starting to perspire as you're going, but it's a beautiful area. This area is known as the Shining Valley, and for good reason. It is beautiful, lush, full of different crops and farms that you're passing, but also just naturally rolling hills of grasses and trees, small copses of trees. And in fact, Tunnel, you see a particular copse of trees that kind of sparks something in your memory over there, a little bit thicker, where there are shadows that are playing along inside that copse of trees off to the far side. But otherwise, this is a pretty well-traveled road. It is paved the entire way. Think like cobblestone Roman roads, ancient Rome kind of deal. This is right outside and right leading to the city, so it's going to be the most manicured, the most well put forward, and it is. For all that, though, it's rather dirtier and more well-worn than it has been, those of you who have been traveling recently, than it has been of late. Many individuals are moving in, and there's starting to be a blockade or block-up gridlock of different caravans, wagoneers, travelers, tinkers, and some pretty haggard-looking folk starting to line up to get into the city and starting to slow down that way. very few people are going the direction that you're going. Tennille, you also notice, not too far off, almost immediately splitting off from the road, from this main road that you're going, is a group that is angling to the sort of east, and you notice that is there's a signpost that is labeling that as the direction towards Tinderbluff.
Does the group look kind of like adventurers like us, or is it just?
Yeah, they look like adventurers. They,
Okay.
in fact, are a group of adventurers that you recognize, at least visually. You didn't meet them or encounter them
Okay.
too much, but visually, kind of a younger-looking group. They're kind of far away, so it's harder to know for sure, but they're not as decked and built as either the Heirs of Iron, the Goliath party, or Aurelia Scovin and her cadre of rather well-to-do looking adventuring individuals, but they are sort of peeling off. You also notice a few ranging scout parties of the military. In this region, they're known as the Mirror Blades, wearing their bright, shining armor, carrying their shimmering shields and their spears, and they're riding off on horses. The ranking officers have a little quarter cloak hanging off their right shoulder, so you see them kind of moving, but surprisingly few soldiers kind of ranking, moving around given the circumstance. So troubling to those of you who are worried about these current circumstances. But you guys go for a good number of hours under this unceasing sun. So what does anyone want to add anything?
So you can use prestidigitation to cool something, right?
That's correct. Yeah.
So I'm going to use it and I think it lasts for an hour, just recast it and kind of cool the air around like my neck and my torso.
Okay.
To whatever extent I can to keep myself from overheating.
Yeah, I'm not sure about the duration there, but yeah, you can definitely use it
Yeah.
for multiple casts. You are drawing attention after doing it multiple times and stuff because it takes a gesture and
Right.
things like that. But it feels like there's a little bit more of a cool breeze tussling a little bit of Tennille's hair, and kind of blowing it a little bit nicely.
Just get like that
Fabulous.
perpetual hero hair going on.
Yeah, got that hero hair going. Looks like he just came off a 3-point landing.
Nice.
And you're striding along a little bit more easily. You, of course, the brightness and stuff is not distinctly comfortable to you, but you've learned to manage in your recent years. So, with that,
Anetka has tied a piece of just black knitted cloth sort of around her eyes, and she'll periodically pop Mr. Mittens out just to have him trot alongside the party, and if he starts looking, a little overheated, she'll pop him back.
yeah, he's distinctly unhappy about being in the sunlight. This pygmy sheep is very just like tongue lolling out and giving you just like a dead eye
Going home, darling.
kind of look.
So as we're walking, Renasus has a little notebook out, and occasionally he'll just write something interesting, and he'll go alongside the side of the road, and every now and then take a little snipping of a particular or peculiar-looking plant and press it in between pages in his notebooks.
Okay, yeah, you're kind of plucking occasional things here and there. Go ahead and make a straight nature check for me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That is 11.
Okay, nothing too radical that you're gathering up. You do know that many plants in Lumoria, particularly in the more sunny regions, disperse the excess energy from the sun, because it's continual, unending sunlight in this region. They disperse it as heat through the roots. So you do notice that the soil and things like that is a little bit warmer. You do notice that some of them are warm to the touch. But you don't come across any plants that are really radically different than what you did normally. Maybe pick up some charming flowers or other things that are catching your eye specifically.
Gotcha.
So the travel goes on for a little bit like this. A few hours pass by, and you guys are getting ready to take a lunch break. Get a break. It's pretty common for people to take a break, a little bit within their travel pace, especially in the northern reaches where it's important to just give your body a chance to cool down, get a chance to get some shade and stuff like that. So why don't we get a couple people making some perception checks, anyone who can decide wants to do it, to try and find a good spot to rest.
Sure.
I would be happy to do it.
Okay, go for it.
Does she do it? Should I do it too?
You can do it too. I'll allow two.
That's a 14.
Okay,
That's a 19.
great. Yeah, between the two of you, you find a nice copse of trees, a little brook not too far from it that's sort of whispering around over the stones, and you find this nice peaceful spot, a lot of bugs buzzing back and forth between different areas. Looks like there's a beehive not too far from the region, from near one of the trees, and you see sort of Alistair like looking toward it and kind of starting to pad over, and he says, bingo.
Please don't anger the bees.
Anger the bees. Bingo. And then he sits down. He begins tinkering with a few things, making a modification for a ridiculously large, what looks like crossbow of some kind, like a crossbow with a big mouth built around it, kind of meant to be held like a big barrel. So he's like tinkering with that as you're going. You guys take a short break, munch on some rations, take a little bit of water from your water skins, which you all cleverly filled up before we buffed.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Oh, definitely.
Yep.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. So you guys did that and are enjoying a bit of a rest, a scene to maybe peruse over some of your recent purchases, some notes or plans. So good moment for that if you guys have something.
I wanted to look through one of my books, and I'm going to look up the name of the books I took. Give me
Okay.
just a second.
Yep. I think you've got In Touch with the Land and Voices of the Earth.
Yes.
Let's see that I have you haven't.
I want to take a look at Voices of the Earth.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, you're able to at least start a cursory read. This is written by individuals from the Verdant culture, where authors aren't, it's considered vulgar to put down your authorial name upon it. It's done in petrified wood, engravings on petrified wood that have been sort of, for lack of a better term, like 3-ring bound together. And it looks quite old.
Okay.
It's hard to make heads or tails of some of the language. A lot of it seems to be done in sort of metaphor or sort of a adjacent kind of description rather than raw, like textbook kind of clear information.
Mm-hmm.
But it talks about how the Alusha were some of the eldest forces, speculating that they have close ties that with some of the sects for the Rain Mother. It's one of the traditional goddesses of nature and the weather. Others argue that it is, in the text, sort of kind of compiling different opinions. Others argue that they are instead powerful fae. What makes it difficult is that most individuals who follow the Alusha are introduced to them via a familial ancestor who reveals themselves, or a particular local spirit of a location, or those who spiritually are close in ideals, locally resonant areas or practices. So it's not at all a standardized situation. It's a bit more like Wiccan or something like that. It's very how people practice is a little bit more specific to them and what comes to them, rather than there's one location to learn this information. Which is not terribly new news for you, but
Right.
is still worth reiterating. You kind of flip through a little further and further, and you get to this section, which is a little bit more interesting to you, which is that often these spirits have powers pertaining to the shadows and to nature, which can make them a rather feared subject in Sanctus, particularly in Solny. They are known to grow angry when burial sites, rivers, forests, mountains, etc. are disturbed or damaged, and often they might select a human a humanoid champion to defend such an area or seek vengeance.
Okay.
They're associated with a lot of different cultures, traditions. They don't really have a holiday because of the way that they are a holy day, although it is generally considered good practice to say for lack of a better term, like announcing oneself in a natural area. It's considered like respectful to do that, of announcing oneself to the spirits of that area in like a deep forest or a wide river, mountains, things like that. That's generally considered good practice amongst many who follow the Elutia.
Okay.
That's kind of the initial stuff that you're focusing on and getting. You might be able to glean more. This was a quick break, not a deep dive.
Okay. After I'm gonna close it, and then I'm just gonna kind of like look around at the trees and, hello, trees.
It could be your imagination, but you feel like the beehive like stirs in a little bit of an unusual way, and you see some like rustle around the nearby branches.
Okay.
All right.
Did Flo hear that?
If you're close enough, yeah. He wasn't like trying to hide it. He's just gonna like meekly like, hello, trees.
I'll like walk up and pat on the shoulder, and then walk up to the bees and be like, "Hello, bees."
Yeah, they're lazily, or rather busily, but not aggressively, moving about, floating around, going to the different locations where, you know, bee work is to be done. They're busy, you know, bees. They're busy, doing their thing.
Sorry,
But otherwise, they seem perfectly content with your presence. No
Okay.
particular worry about you. So,
Can
Yeah.
I try something?
go for it.
Uh-oh.
Absolutely.
So I'm gonna use shape water and create a ball of water around the beehive.
Okay.
You monster.
Yeah, you are very easily able to gather some moisture in the air and from the nearby brook,
Yeah.
and
And
flood it
then-
around this space, and you're shaping it, and
Using
many
my-
of the bees are kind of starting to panic a little bit more on the inside, and then the ones outside are kind of confusedly buzzing around the this sphere that you've placed, trapping their egress and entrance to their home.
Keeping the circle of water around it, can I use my second use of shaped water to throw a ice ball at the stem of the beehive?
Oh my god.
We're getting honey today, boys.
Okay, yeah, absolutely. You, again, as you're like doing this sort of waterbender, like continuing the like, cocoon of water you've got going on your other hand, you kind of just whoop, bring up a little sphere of water and freeze it into like a baseball-sized hailstone and just go ahead and make a roll and add your spellcasting ability modifier for shape water, which I believe for your case is con.
Yeah.
So add your
Snow.
So
proficiency in
just-
con.
What kind of roll?
Roll a d20, add
Okay.
your proficiency
Just add-
bonus and your con bonus,
Oh, okay.
because you're proficient with your magic.
Okay. 12.
Bees, bingo. Yeah, you're not too far, so it's not hard to hit. So, and within the
Can I, like-
watery orb, it's like
Can I
a
make
couple are like, and a few bees are just like down beside. All of you are just like watching this transpire.
Can I smack her with my walking stick?
What are you doing?
Hey!
What are you doing?
Hold on!
Stop
Can I
it
like
right now.
can I
Just
go
keep on
grab
smacking her with my
it carefully by the stick and just like go dunk it in the water?
What are you doing?
Just
I
let her
said
do it.
After you get to eat honey, okay?
Let her do it. Let's see what
Okay,
happens.
so
I'm gonna go
you
dunk it in
pull
the
the drowning
I'm
bees.
still trying to keep
yeah,
water on it.
You
to contain
take
it.
it and just dunk that, and you just see just a huge just cloud of bees just float down the brook, and there they go. This took a turn quite quickly, but yeah, you feel pretty confident that you have secured yourself a beehive's worth of honey.
Okay, can I like make sure there's no bees in it and then like disperse it out to everybody?
Okay, so
I
as
do that?
you're like shaking it out, you do feel like you get like a couple
Yeah, okay.
stings on your hand
Yeah,
that
valid.
are unfortunate,
Valid.
but I'll say you take one piercing damage
Okay.
from
Worth it.
the bees, but you're able to sort of kind of dunk it a couple times, rinse and repeat the bees, and you are able to get a honeycomb worth, you start dispersing, and
Well, actually, I'm gonna sit and eat it myself first, and just like smile at everybody and be like,
Cackler comes up to you, just kind of cocks his head and just holds out his like clawed hand.
What do you say?
Bingo.
I don't think
Yeah,
anyone has
that
ever
works.
said please in this campaign.
He begins
So,
enjoying his honeycomb.
if you look at Renostus, on his lapel, he has a bee pin. I would like to look at to see there. I'm sure there are several species of bee in Lumoria, but I would like to see if this is a bee species that I recognize.
Go ahead and make a nature check. I'll give you advantage because of your particular association with such things. So Neil, after just kind of introducing yourself to the area, you feel a rather cold shiver just like run up your spine. And like branch out over your back, and you begin to like hear in the brook, and like a like swirly wind brushing back and forth through the leaves. That you guys never noticed any trace of such a breeze before, but you're sure feeling it now, and it's particularly coming in your way to you. You're feeling cold, like pins and needles kind of deal. What Renostus, what'd you get?
Dirty 20.
Dirty 20. Okay. Yeah. You do recognize as pretty common, sort of standard, common local bumblebee. Funnily enough, I didn't design specific Lumorian bees.
You didn't.
In this particular case, at least not in this region. So, it's a pretty standard one that you've at least known or researched a fair bit about. They make colonies throughout this area and tend to prefer shaded regions. They tend to occasionally give out little, for lack of a better term, as like a cloud of them. They would give off like a little wisp of extra dispersed heat. A lot of animals and creatures and plants and things like that, living creatures, have adaptations to, particularly insects, which adapt a little faster to their short lifespan. Have adaptations to deal with the excess heat, but otherwise pretty standard bumblebee. And wash down the river they go. They produce pretty nice honey. It seems like there's a lot of lavender plants in the area because it's got like a lavender.
Did you not have food? Are you hungry? I could have provided you with any ration in my bag.
But honey.
You made them angry.
But honey, says Alistair as he's like through his honey beak.
Does anyone else feel like the weird cold breeze, or
Just you.
Just me. Okay.
I mean, I could go for some honey right now. Slate will walk over and ask
I'll
for
give
some
you
honey.
some.
I feel like Renostus and Tennille are like standing there like the disapproving parents right now, just like tapping their feet and like, what is wrong with you?
Renostus is
Have some.
actually horrified. Like, deeply saddened. So you'll just see him kind of like, after looking at you and asking you and seeing that there's not any remorse to be found, he's just gonna turn away and just try to move forward and not think about this anymore.
Yeah, I'm gonna follow. Pat him on the back. It's okay, Opa. Let's go.
It's insanely selfish.
You hear,
But it tastes good. Sorry.
no, that's fine. You feel like a hot prickle kind of in your throat and behind your eyes as you look at Flo. And you kind of, you just find yourself naturally stretching, hand reaching towards, could be weaponry. But you also notice the shadows seem to be like lengthening a little toward Flo that the trees are casting.
I'm gonna let it play out.
We've rested and eaten. Are we not leaving at this point?
I mean, we got a bee standoff. Naka's just gonna look at her knitting. Damn it, Flo, I dropped 3 stitches looking at your tomfoolery.
Looking at your tomfoolery.
No, that would... Sticky hands and knitting do not go together.
There's a brook right there. We can just wash off.
I think Renostus might kill me.
I don't want to go back into the trees, but I did want to fill out my water skin at the brook before we
Okay.
like upstream.
I was more expecting out of this little situation, but I'm glad for the detour. So, yeah, go ahead.
Upstream of where the bees were massacred.
Yep.
I mean, bears.
Some bees can walk on the water and fly away.
You didn't let
no,
them
no,
gently.
you
You dunked them in the water after like surrounding them in a sphere of water.
Yeah, after trapping them, you then
You're a
bury them.
monster.
I'm totally here for it.
Hey,
though.
I've been
I
stuck
like
on a
it.
ship for a while. Don't judge me too harshly.
Oh, we're judging you.
One thing, because I don't think I've ever pointed it out about Anetka's knitting, you notice, unlike a lot of knitting, she actually has a necklace with the hook that she sort of is tensioning her yarn around, and if you look at that closely instead of at the bee murder, it looks like a pair of hands that are doing some weaving, so that might be something.
I am here for it.
Very cool.
That's cool.
Yes.
Cool.
or bee murder.
We should actually
murderer.
get you some knitting so you can be really encouraged.
Yeah,
Like actually.
Well, if you're already doing that, you might as well just knit.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
yeah.
need to find it like a simple because the one I'm working on, I can't pay
Dishcloth.
attention to this.
Dishcloth.
Yeah, dishcloths or
Dishcloth, garter stitch, scarf. Ooh.
Okay. Yeah. Anyways.
Anyways, back from that.
Moving forward,
We'll
The
talk
team-
at break.
the team begins to make their egress from the area. Sun doesn't feel as warm to you anymore as you're making your way. And otherwise, just kind of, you got your honey. Moving on. Back to the road. And we're on to the next leg of travel. So, who wants to take point for this section?
Goes.
Okay.
I'll stay in front.
Okay.
I'll stay in front as well.
Okay. Go ahead and make perceptions, both of you.
Would this also be at disadvantage because we're in bright sunlight?
Yeah.
I forgot about that.
Yes, if you have. If you have sensitivity or things like that, then yes.
The dark heritage.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, that's
That's
fine.
That's a 7.
That's a 13 for me.
So you guys are going a little farther along, and the road's still pretty well worn. It's still worn but well kept. As you're angling more and more away, Anetka, you'd know the ways to go. And after that brief, little situation,
Slaughter.
yeah, the bee slaughter of 4:30. Anyway, you guys are heading
To
down.
the bees, you are a monster.
Yeah, you guys are heading along, and Sunil, maybe what was your total?
13.
So maybe a little more alert after some of the feelings you felt, and kind of keep an eye on some of the tree areas and little copses of wood. You are noting that not only are you guys branching away from sort of the main road, which kind of goes more down into towards some of the major border locations, you do notice that there's some more paths and stuff like that, some trees that are kind of blocking your view, but rather unusually for such a local area. Well, two things. One, you're noticing that a lot of the neighboring earth area is kind of, some of it's like churned up in a really strange pattern. And you also notice a very large series of footprints. It's like three-toed, very big, easily like torso-sized, and they're in what look like patterns of 4, and they're kind of angling. They kind of angled near the road and then angled away. Looks like it went more towards like a group of trees.
I'm gonna hold up my arms, get her to stop. I'm gonna pull up my glasses, my goggles, and put them on and do my little shaded thing and kind of look at the footprints and stuff more closely, I guess. I want to, and I more look at they're heading off towards the trees, kind of look towards the trees and see if I see anything in that direction.
Okay, so yeah, you activate your goggles there, and you sort of see like little bright pinpoints of purplish swirling markers on the sides there, and then the sort of things cloud over or shade over with sort of a shadowy look over the lenses. And go ahead and make a further perception check. This time with normal.
Okay.
Normal roll.
Before
The
we
trees
do-
out there are about they're a fair distance away.
Okay.
Over 100 feet.
Before I do so, can I kind of like stop and whisper, "I know you're there. Help me," and cast guidance on myself?
Sure.
Okay.
I'll allow it.
Well, yeah, that was it's 13. It's not great, but I tried.
Okay. You're definitely seeing some movement along the some of the tops of the trees and stuff like that.
Okay.
And you hear sort of like a kind of like a very deep panting. But yeah, that's what you're noticing. Nope. And sort of a darker, thickened shape. I mean, there's a big spring up of trees, multiples of them. But you're hearing like a crash, and like scraping sounds against the bark of the trees. But it's kind of not quite catching it in your vision.
There's something. I'm whispering loudly for the camera, but I'm actually whispering it to everyone else. There's something in the trees. Quiet. And I'm looking in particular at the cackler and Flo.
He kind of looks at Flo. Quiet. So this is, again, just to reiterate, this is like a couple hours after you guys' bee slaughter.
Fine.
I mean, not for the bees.
But you guys head
Kill
over.
people in their home.
Or rather, you've headed this far, and you guys are doing that. So yeah,
Not legit.
are you guys carrying forward, or are you gonna veer toward it, or just stay where you're at?
Do we want to like try to sneak by?
Guys, I want to see what that is. I bet it's great.
I mean, it does.
Most good at being quiet. I tend to fumble and drop stuff, but I can try.
I kind
It's got three pads, big feet. It's in the trees.
that does. Could be a magic
I
creature.
would like to see what.
Oh, that is your accent. Yeah, but it could be a magic creature. And what sort of fur does it have? What sort of...
I gotta see it.
There
I
could be
gotta know.
venoms you could use for dyes.
What if
I
it's
guess I need
fluffy?
you to hit me with the old
I
man
can spit the
voice.
fur
I'm having a
if
hard
it's
time
fluffy.
summoning Renostus.
You want
Brussels
me to
sprouts.
do your old man
Dude.
voice for you?
Dude, Deckard Kane. And don't just hit me with a Leah.
He was going right
I
there.
was so ready to do it too.
So this is the perfect.
Stay a while and listen.
A while and listen. I need to get the. Alright.
You gotta sound like you have back pain in your voice. You know, that's
It helps when I actually do have back pain, but right now I'm feeling good, so I'm having a hard time.
really
summoning
channeling
it.
that feeling. There may be something over there.
I would like to go see what it is.
Nailed
I'm
it.
quite curious myself.
I can go.
But honey,
Could you stop bringing that up? Slap him with my stick like a grandpa slap.
So,
Like
I,
Grandpa's like,
okay, I can help. I think, maybe, but you have to stay close, very close, and keep your mouth shut. I'm gonna cast Pass Without a Trace.
keep your mouth shut. He then looks at you and starts like pecking at you like it's like a bird at a chip on the ground, kind of just like pecking at your hair.
Yes, Chirps?
Keep your mouth shut. All right, stealth checks. You're doing Paths Without a Trace.
Yeah, at 10.
It takes a little longer than
what if I want to break off and
it
go
did
take a
before.
look?
Yeah, you can do it. 1 sec. So for those of you arming stealth checks, I'll include the cackler in that. Good roll.
Terrible.
It takes a little longer. It feels like to make the connection
Okay.
this time. And as you do your ritual, and why don't you describe what you want it to look like?
Oh, okay. Well, actually, I'm gonna go ahead and take my gloves off first, just for mental reasons or interior psychological reasons, and kind of close my eyes. And for the rest of the party watching, I kind of close my eyes and hold my hands out like this, and you can kind of see the tattoos start to light up. But rather than like brightness, it's almost like this misty shadow starts to gather around all of us, and just like everything inside this mist is very like muffled, and you just like you're almost having trouble seeing one another inside the shadow, and it seems to almost like the light on my tattoos kind of flares a little bit and then it goes out.
Very cool.
That's cool.
Flo, the mist really does congeal quite thoroughly around your eyes, and you are blind at the moment during this egress. So you're actually going to make the stealth roll with disadvantage.
Oh.
And no adding the bonus.
Can I whisper like, dang it, Danielle, I can't see you.
Yeah, you can do that.
Okay. I'm
All right.
gonna say that to you.
So Slate, did you want to just like peel off?
I would want to like, as best as any foot Goliath can do, sneak up towards it. I want to see it, ideally without seeing me.
Yeah.
Whatever's in the trees.
I was counting that in the stealth roll.
Okay.
Is there in particular, did you want to like, I'm not following how this is different from the normal team's approach stealthing in.
I guess
did
I
you want to
missed
take
it.
it from a different angle?
I thought Tennille was like, forget this thing, let's go.
No. Yeah, I was going to cast Pass Without a Trace on us so we could get close.
Okay, I thought she was like, no.
I see. Okay, yeah. So yeah, just go ahead and make your stealth roll with the 10 of the Pass Without a Trace edition, which is a great spell. Okay, yes. So Cackler got a 28.
Nice.
Sneaky beaky.
I rolled a
Tennille?
4 and got an 18.
Okay, not bad. That's what Pass Without a Trace does. Renostis?
21.
21, okay. Slate? 20?
28.
28. And your stealth roll with disadvantage, no adding 10s?
14.
14. Okay.
Not bad.
You know, you're stumbling. You bump into Tennille a couple times. You're just like...
Grab her and like,
Can I just like, yeah.
don't kill the bees next time.
So, yeah, that's a thing. But otherwise, you're moving along and all getting a little closer and getting a little closer. It takes a little bit, and you're hearing that sort of like... and it sounds like a panting kind of sound, like a rhythmic panting. And there's a break in the trees. You guys get the vision, and you see a very large, very shaggily furred creature. Right now, it's standing on its hind limbs and reaching up with very large, three-fingered clawed hands that are grasping at a tree, and it's chewing at the leaves, the branches, whole wood, leaf, all of it together. And long, shaggy, tan fur, kind of a roundish face with a bit of a slope to the snout, a bit of a pattern around the eyes. It doesn't seem to be noticing you or paying much attention, but as it sort of swivels to another tree, sort of begins scraping and making this sort of rhythmic panting noise and stuff like that. You notice it sort of changes enough that you can see its back more clearly, and all along its back, the fur seems to be interlaced with / colored by some kind of greenish algae that is running all the way down from like the base of the spine to its back. And you also notice, let's have, we'll do Tennille and Slate. Go ahead and make perception checks, please.
Is it still bright enough to be a disadvantage, or?
Well, you got your glasses up at the moment, don't you?
I do.
I don't have glasses up.
You do not.
Oh, that's terrible. That is terrible. That's a 7.
Okay.
Neat. That's a 17.
Very nice. Okay, you notice a little mound amidst the like greenish algae and stuff, and hanging backward off of it with its face toward you is a little baby.
It's a
and kind of interwoven with the greenish fur, and it sort of seems to ripple the greenish fur and material. Those of you who are native to this region can make a nature check to try and identify this creature.
Can I count
7.
as native since I live here?
No, I wouldn't count you on that one. Tennille, I'll allow it, sure.
Nature check. Okay.
Given my circumstance, am I allowed to try, or is this just a no?
No, I don't think so for you.
Okay.
Renostis, go ahead and roll as well if you didn't already.
I did. I figured.
What'd you get?
I got 25.
Great. I'll get to that in a second. Flo? Or sorry, Anetka?
7.
Okay. Not known to you. Just not known to you.
5.
Yeah. So, Rhinoceros, it's fitting that you would know, as it sort of pertains to some of your areas of interest. This is a great vertebrac. They are similar or in size and depiction. Hopefully I conveyed this already, but imagine a giant ground sloth from prehistoric time. That's what these things are. They are known to have, they're rather solitary creatures, aside from when they come to mate, things like that. You're kind of recalling some of the information, but most notable to you is that they have a symbiotic relationship with a particular form of algae, which helps supply them with a continual flow of energy. The technical name for the algae is Lucarium verdantica, and it supplies them with a general flow of energy. These creatures occasionally dig furrows in the earth to rest and escape from the constant sunlight when they need a cool down period, but otherwise they can spend days at a time in consistent sunlight, and they do the sort of deep dog-like panting to help, like a dog does, sort of tongue lolling out, to help disperse some of that energy, and especially when they're rearing these young, especially what looks like from the size of this particular one at a young age, they're directly fed from this symbiotic relationship. It's generally the fathers, the males, that carry the young. And this creature standing on its hind limbs is about 15 feet tall. So they're big creature. Generally known, you would know with that roll, you got a 25, right?
Yeah, 19 plus 6.
Yeah. So you would know with that roll that the symbiote of the algae gives them a advanced metabolism, which gives them regenerative properties. And while they are quite slow, they're known to expend that energy in a rapid burst to kind of escape prey or hunt something down that's threatening their young. Generally rather docile, generally rather a rare sight, so it's unusual that you're seeing one, but a nice, interesting thing. You've never seen one in the wild. You've just read lots of books about them and their verdantica, the algae, that they have a relationship with. So,
I imagine that Rhinoceros is very almost like subconsciously reiterating this information to the team, like frantically, almost under his breath, like he doesn't even like realize he's speaking out loud. If I were to get a sample of that symbiotic algae, that could prove to be very advantageous in a tincture or a brewed tea. That is, if we were able to acquire this without infuriating the father.
Wait, father of what? I'm like, what is it?
Megafauna. I imagine he was
saying what it was. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Vertebrac.
Hey!
Weren't you listening?
Were they like this? And I'll pull out some of the honey.
I'm looking at something.
You do hear sort of a
Oh.
and sort of a ponderous and kind of begins like knuckle walking on its big claws, which like curl quite extensively. They're like foot long claws. You know, this thing's big, and it's just sort of slowly knuckle walking in your direction. You guys are covered in that misty shadow, including Flo, even though she can't see. You're just like holding the honeycomb and just like waving it about. And these things have a strong sense of smell. They do tend to favor treats that they can get occasionally, including honey, but as well as they're known to have quite long tongues as well to retrieve said honey. But they also like fruit and other things like that. Insects, when they can get them, they tear up logs and stuff to get at that. And they're just sort of...
Well, yes, of course they love honey. I would put that away if you don't want it to come over here.
How well can they smell?
They can smell very well.
Well, I can't see what's happening, so...
Oh, he's coming over here.
Oh!
Anika, do you have mage hand?
Oh, quite. Yes. And she'll
Hold it out and I'll get some algae.
yeah, get some fur for me too, okay?
So the idea is you hold out the comb And then I want to also cast Mage Hand and kind of like skirt around it, staying pretty far away at range of Mage Hand, and kind of reach up and pick out some algae and some fur if I can.
Okay, let's get another group stealth check before we start all of this.
Oh boy.
Oh boy!
Oh,
Let's
boy.
go.
Am I still
This is what
disadvantaged? No
Grandpa
bonus?
You are still disadvantaged, no bonus.
Okay.
The spirits are not happy about you.
Heh.
Or we still get unpassed without a trace?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's still up at the
Okay.
moment.
It's still up.
Okay, Cackler got a 20 total this time around.
20 total.
20 total for Tennille. Venostus,
23.
23.
18.
Slate for 18.
18.
18 for Nitka.
8.
8.
And there it is.
You're sort of like stumbling around and like waving the honeycomb a little bit, and you're like, here, wait, ah, and you kind of like fall a little bit, and the honeycomb like kind of falls a little bit out of the space, and you just sort of see the creature and kind of like ponderously beginning to go over, and it kind of is like kind of looking curiously at the congealed misty shadow and kind of like doing a little dirt digging, and then kind of pawing forward.
Anetka will use the Mage Hand to grab the honeycomb and sort of move it further away from us.
Okay, you just see it sort of.
Tennille, go.
Alright, so once it's like turned, I'm gonna use my Mage Hand to try to grab some of the at least the algae, and if I can, I don't want to hurt it and take its fur, but if I can get a piece of fur too.
There's probably a lot of loose fur.
Yeah, there's loose fur. You can't get the algae without the fur. They're
Okay.
part together. You don't have the tools to kind of separate that. But go ahead and make a general spellcasting ability check.
Okay.
Roll well.
Roll better than you've been rolling. Ooh!
There you
That's
go. Ask, and you shall receive.
It's a 20 total.
20 total. That is enough, definitely. So you're able to reach out, your mage hand, kind of a congealing mist. I like to think of it as more like an owl talon. And kind of taking a little bit of a, whoosh, like a clip off of a bit. Careful to avoid the baby.
Take the whole baby with it.
Yeah. Yoink. Yeah. One side of. So yeah, whoosh, takes a little clipping of the fur and does that. And you've thrown the honeycomb, or you just sort of like dancing it in the air?
Dancing it, then probably set it down at like a... Aww.
And it kind of like digs these deep furrows around it, and then just like goes to town. Its tongue all over the place, like lolling out and kind of gaining a quite lovely treat. And doesn't seem to be particularly preoccupied with the party or any of the other smells or weird stumblings that might have occurred. So, what's everyone else
Watching
doing?
the process, Renostus is like giddy. He's got his little hands and just so excited.
I'm gonna have the mage and hold it up. Good enough. Let's go.
Okay.
Oh yeah, Flo can't say.
Yeah, I'm just
But honey!
We'll buy you some more honey chirps. Come on, let's go.
He kind of like pecks again at your hair a little bit.
Flo will drown another beehive. It'll be fine.
Drown another beehive.
Oh, that's going on.
And then just like continue on to the
Let's
path.
Nate this list.
There.
Just like, what the hell? Bees!
He doesn't watch this before you hand that to him.
Yeah, but
No
you guys
context.
are able to sort of make your egress without too much worry or focus. And, for those of you who don't know the region well enough, certainly this is an unusual sight, but those of you who do, particularly in Nostis, you'd probably be aware and appreciate the fact that this is a rare sight. Yeah, these creatures are pretty rare. They can defend themselves fairly well, but they are hunted for their fur. They're hunted for their meat and things like that. It's not too hard to take them down in a group setting and situation. But the local culture, you rolled really high, 25, so I'm just going to give you a little bit more. I had fun designing these things, so I'm just going to share a little more, which is that the local tribes, the original Vianthans and Centaur nomads, who originally lived in Sanctus, consider them a semi-sacred creature. So they often view these. Your interest in this would be more academic, but they often view these as sort of a little gentle guardian giants of the trees.
As we leave the little grove of trees, I'm going to whisper, "Thank you, trees." Keep on going.
You feel a little warm brush of the grass up on your legs there. And that is actually we're going to start and take a little bit of an earlier break. So give a chance everyone to go use the bathroom, because I need to. And grab some food, grab some drink and stuff like that. So those of you who are watching at home, thank you so much. Don't go away. We'll be right back in 5 to 10 minutes. So we'll be back then.
Woo! Like how you're the
Yeah, but at what
All
cost?
right.
Raise them like our own.
Yes, a sloth
ride
baby,
him.
but at what cost? What a great note to return on. So welcome back to DragonPoetSociety. We're just picking up back from our break. Team just made their exit away from the city of Solney on the way to Brightmeadow to find out what happened to Anetka's family and her home, her area where they are living after a flicker has been struck. Along the way, the team has drowned some bees for honey, using shape water creatively, admittedly.
I mean, it's just coincidental. Bees really are Rhinoceros' thing. Like,
Yeah,
you just had to go and murder them.
yeah, right in front of him too. No mercy. And
Expertly
then,
done too, by the way.
yeah, the team,
She's done this before.
yeah, well practiced.
Sea bees.
The team just came across a rather rare sight amongst the trees. Numerous hours into their journey, a creature known as a great vertoback, sort of a very extra large giant ground sloth with a symbiotic algae that it has a relationship with. The team used some clever mixing and matchings with mage-handed honeycomb and mage-handed retrieval of some of the algae fur for Rhinoceros to study and also for Anetka to make into something awesome. So, with that, the team carries on with their new spoils in hand, heading continuously. You guys are getting into the later stage of the journey here. Obviously, the sun isn't setting too much. You guys aren't going enough of a direction that you're noticing a big fading in the light, other than, the mid-afternoon sun is going to kind of a little more toward mid to late afternoon sun as you guys are making your way sort of on a more southerly trajectory. But otherwise, you guys know that you still have a fair bit of travel left to go, and refreshed mentally from this new find and exciting sighting without any confrontation. So what is everybody doing as we're moving forward?
Netka will take just like a little sample of her new fur, mix it with some wool, and see how it spins up.
Okay.
With a long staple length like that, it probably would spin fairly well.
Yeah. Go ahead and make a...
Public Nicholas.
You're proficient with weaver's tools, right?
Yes.
So go ahead and make a... I'll allow that to be performance or sleight of hand. Whatever's better for you.
Sleight of hand.
Okay.
And then add proficiency.
Yes.
14.
14, yeah. It does quite well. It's long. It's got some fibrousness to it. But it's soft. Fibrosity? What's the word for... Okay. Okay.
Good attempt.
We're moving on.
Velma.
You know how you said you were telling me how it probably does? It does that. Moving on.
Spins finely.
I imagine like some BFL, like some just nice long
No
stable.
one knows what BFL is.
The knitters of the audience know what that is.
Yes, we know.
Yes.
I love the thematic parts of this character, but it is making terminology a challenge for me to ever try and relate.
I want to go into a yarn shop and have everything labeled by fibrosity.
It's thread count, maybe. Okay, it's high thread
Well,
count for...
Micron count.
It's one thread count you're making. Anyway, I'm being
Let's just
pretentious.
keep
We're
going.
being pretentious.
Yep.
Moving onward.
Onward.
Those of you who are not preoccupied by your spoils, so I'm going to exclude Renostus as well from this particular role, because he's probably admiring his new...
Well, can I say, he'll put it in a vial, and then we'll pour some sort of like alcohol type of liquid over it to preserve the algae.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, you're able to do that without too much of a trouble. It's pretty standard hat for you. But a couple other of you guys want to make a perception check moving forward.
Can I see?
Yes, you can.
Okay.
Hours past this event,
Okay.
you guys have traveled again back onto the road, which is shortening and narrowing as you guys are getting closer and closer. Still, more than another turning's travel before you reach Brightmeadow, but this is sort of the end of the first leg here. So go and roll.
Both of us?
Yeah.
Okay. 13.
13.
That one.
Right. You know, the light's kind of getting to you a little more. You're
See,
getting a bit
see
of a
the
headache.
stapling? See the
I don't
stapling?
think you can reach that high.
Yeah.
See the stapling?
She's using her mage
5
hand.
foot.
Oh, yes!
Oh my gosh, I love this. You got 13, 14?
13.
13. Yeah. You're the first to spot it on the horizon. It's not hot enough to have that like deserty, shimmery heat on the horizon, but you are able to see sort of a brightness that continues down the road, and you're starting to notice some fewer trees, certainly fewer farmland, fewer of those kind of things, more occasional wild things, but wild little spots of trees and stuff like that, bushes. But mostly it's sort of receding a little bit, and you see a little offshoot from the road, little offset from the road. You see a building on the horizon, a couple stories, and it seems like it's got a bit of like a mishmash kind of shape from here, maybe hodgepodge. It's still like a mile out or something like that, so it's not like immediately easily to discern. But you're able to see in far distance. It looks like it's some kind of building, and knowing that you guys were maybe stopping at the shrine of Alito somewhere after the first day's travel, you're hoping that maybe that's what it is. It's been a long day, and you know it's sweating. You know, you're feeling the burn as you're going along. So yeah, that's what you're seeing.
Okay. Can I guess I'll look towards Ren or Anitka and be like, what does that shrine look like?
Well, it's a building.
It
I
is
mean, there's
quite
a
the
building
build.
coming up.
Does it look like the shrine when she looks up from her project?
Make a perception check.
Disadvantage due to the sunlight?
Yeah.
Woo!
Where do you see this building?
9.
I'll point off in the distance.
Can I look off where she's pointing?
Yeah, go ahead and make a perception as well. It's kind of, separated a little bit from the road, but not by a bunch. With a 9, I'd say not really too easy. It's just like a dot. The light's kind of getting to you a little bit, and you're really preoccupied with your project. It's kind of exciting. So that's what you're mostly noting. Renostis, how'd you do?
22.
22, okay, so you see it as well. This seems consistent with Shrines of Alito. Let's see, those of you who are native to this region can go ahead and make or native to this region, go ahead and make a religion check, please.
Oh, that's actually not bad. 17.
17?
Yeah, 17.
Mecca?
6.
Okay, yep. Renostis?
16.
16, yeah. So both of you guys would know that Shrines to Alito. Alito is the Keeper of Rhodes. She is the goddess of travel, of fair play on the road, of trade. Not above a sharply cut deal, but otherwise, pretty standard. She's very protective. Very harsh punishment for those who follow Alito. Very harsh punishment for those who attack bandits on the road, things like that, people who attack others on the road. But you know that her shrines are often sort of like hostile inn situations. Often with adjoining stables or other locations and stuff like that. Sometimes with little tinker sections like traveling individuals, traveling salespeople, kind of little stations and sections. Often a good place to stop and share the news, stop for the night. Most are set up so that's it's sort of a rotating management by people who want to stay there, kind of stuff like that. If you help manage it, you kind of stay for free. But otherwise, it's a pretty meager accommodations, most of them, because they're meant to be accessible to everybody as far as wealth goes. So it's generally a few copper to stay for the night minimum, but it's also sort of a pay what you want / donate if you'd like to contribute more towards this system situation. So and then there's also suites to be booked and stuff like that for people who want a little bit more of a lavish stay. As you guys are approaching and continuing along your way, I'm assuming you haven't stopped, you're seeing that it's a little ragged looking. You're starting to see it now more easily on the horizon, all of you. It does have an adjoining stable section, but no people coming to and fro. You don't notice a lot of particular events there. So you guys arrive much closer and closer as you're moving forward. Is there anything you'd like to do as you're approaching?
You said it doesn't seem like there's people coming to and fro. Does it look like there are people there at all, or does it look empty?
Hard to say from this far, but it's fair to say that I have another thing I want to get back to in just a sec. But it's fair to say that there are some like lights or coziness coming from the main common room lower area through a window, but you don't see any in the upper floors. Hard to say otherwise, though.
Okay.
I'll just make a couple other mentions. It's rumored that Alito, for those of you who made the religion check, invented roads. Her symbol is a forked road behind a wagon wheel with a campfire. So she's also known as the peddler queen. And she's usually set up sort of outside of cities in general. She kind of has a distaste for the stagnant life of cities. Likes to wander, likes to travel, that kind of situation. So followers of that, she's a big deal in the Vianthan culture, the sort of nomadic trading caravan culture. You guys approach a little farther, a little closer. You're not noticing a lot of life, but you do hear some like, as you're standing like 10 feet, 20 feet outside the building, you're noticing some movement and stuff like that. Maybe hearing the occasional clang or something.
I think let's head in,
Sure.
bed down for the night, then get up bright and early and head out in the morning.
Yeah, and you notice this is located at somewhat of a confluence of roads. There's signposts to point to other areas, pointing to other towns, things like that. Tinder Bluff, Sunstream, things like that, all the way as far as like one of them points to Flywatch, which is one of the border cities between two locations. Flywatch is located here. Yeah, so you see the other ones also being sort of mentioned a little bit. Those of you who know this region really well seem to note that there are two numbers in terms of miles listed. Those of you who would know about this system note that the first number denotes how many miles until the next shrine, and the next number denotes how long until the actual city. Most of them, it's like they're usually stationed like a day or two, or turning or two's travel away from the target location. You guys push your way on in. So sort of a patchwork building on the outside. The door is a great wagon wheel, like put on top of a round door. You push it open, and it's a unusually quiet place for such a locale. Normally, shrines of Alito are quite boisterous, places for people to talk, chatter, gamble, trade, enjoy a little break from the road. It's a grim mood that sort of stains the otherwise what would be cheery coziness of a place that could host a nice Spitfire. It could host it's got a nice bar, but the furniture's a little ragged. There's stains on it, not as well kept or looked after. And the furniture is all sort of mishmash, cobbled together, donated maybe, things like that. Totally empty, but for a single man, human, behind the bar, judging by his red and white hair, which is sort of a trademark genetic thing amongst the Vianthan people. He seems to be of that heritage. Vianthans generally depict not necessarily a race of humans, but a race of humanoids, but often they have red and white hair. He wears cloth of both Shadveer and Solny. He's got a long jacket, or coat, kind of military jacket coat kind of thing that you would wear in sort of Victorian era. That's common in Shadveeran fashion, but his chest is otherwise bare underneath it, and then he's got a sash, which is common in Solnian fashion, across from shoulder to hip. His chest is otherwise bare and shows what looks like recent scarring across his chest, and you notice a brand on his one, like just below his left breastbone. He kind of looks up. travelers, eh? Well, careful where you're headed. Were you looking to stay?
Just for the night.
Yes, we can certainly accommodate until next turning. Not a problem. General stance is 5 copper a head, or pay what you like. Help out. Certainly an additional wage wouldn't be hurt. What news are you bearing?
We come from Solney. I think probably already heard of the Vickers.
Yes, you come from Solney. I have. Yes. What are they doing? Are they dispatching military or aid?
We saw some troops of military, little scouting parties heading down the road. Don't think any of us heard what they're doing specifically, but I think the goal was to provide aid and to let refugees into the city.
I see. Well, interesting. I'm not sure that I believe that necessarily, but in any case, it's good to hear that there's some more movement, although I'm loath to hear that it's just more scouting and ranging light assistance parties. Certainly, there have been already a few of those going past with church officials and a few scouting parties, but the military needs to really mobilize if we're going to be able to aid all of these travelers, the number of individuals who are coming through, and of course, problems on the road recently taking advantage of these times. Did you all want to... wait a minute. And he kind of looks around and looks at Neil and says, I believe an individual made arrangements on your behalf to stay in the suite, already paid for. So you and your companions can be enjoying the first door up on the left on the 3rd floor. But I also believe I have a letter that is addressed to a man matching your description and a lady matching yours. One Brody Brighteye wrote in.
Yes.
Produces a letter in a nice parchment scroll.
Did he know?
Brody has those ways. I'm gonna go ahead and slap 2 gold down on the bar for him. I know it's been paid. Take this.
Thank you very much. That's very kind, sir. That will go far. I regret to say I'm rather lonely these days, but I'm finding some measure of belonging here at this locale. So stay as long as you like. I'll pull up some stew for all of you. And he kind of hands over the scroll, which is tied in a very ornate kind of knot that you two would recognize as sort of like a signature of Brody's style. And hands that over. He's like, oh, be back in a shake, and he kind of darts behind the back counter area to start ladling up some stuff. And it smells like there's been something cooking kind of for a long time and gone maybe a little like long on the burner kind of deal. But you hear sort of some kind of ladling broth sounds. But otherwise the place is pretty empty and dead. So yeah.
Okay. Let's
While he's away, Verdostus will turn to the party. It's very unusual that a place like this is so empty.
Yeah. Probably not many. I don't know how many were able to escape Brightmeadow, but they might have just gotten out ahead of us, and certainly most people aren't stupid enough to go towards it.
True.
You wanted to read the letter? Or do you
Yeah.
want to hold off on it?
is there just one, or is there one?
Just one.
Just one. How about we eat something first?
Yes. Settle the stomach, and then maybe upstairs in the suite, just...
Yes, I've got it. Here you are. Come. You feel free to sit wherever you like, up the bar if you like, or grab any table. Goodness knows we have. Alito knows, we have the space. You could have a table each if you wanted. This is too cheery.
It's bar music, kind of.
Yeah, but it's a very
It's a
sad
sad
bar.
bar.
Sad bar.
In your estimate, would I have any more honey left?
A small amount. Small little comb.
Okay. Can I, wrap it up and be like, here's a little something we picked up along the way, and give that to him?
Aw.
Kind of looks at you a little bit. It's a little damp. But, thank you. And it kind of, oh, nice. Yeah. Thank you. Wow, this is good. It's been a while since I've had something sweet.
It's rather fresh.
Ah, yes, I can tell. Fair treat. Well, I can share my end of the news a little bit if you'd like. Certainly, we Vienthans have suffered the worst, I think, on the roads lately. Things have been a tumble of chaos. And it's said that the caravan breaker, Lord of Vultures, has been soaring these lands of late. He has struck repeatedly at fleeing refugees and caravans. In fact, struck mine as well, and he kind of shows you his touches near the angry wheel that is his the brand scar. It's a symbol, a winged skull above, superimposed over a wagon wheel. He is certainly the enemy of Alito, preying upon those in desperate times traveling. And he offers a chance of life in exchange for surrendering one's wealth. I tried to explain that we did not have very much. He slaughtered my people and spared me to spread the rumor. And be a living reminder of his power, able to strike like lightning on a clear day. So keep an eye on the skies as you are moving forward. I wish I could bring any further glad tidings, but I also have heard rumor that there is a Vienthan caravan that has been turned corrupt in these dark times, perhaps struck by these attacks themselves. 4 horseshoes around a fire. The road warmers. It was my brother's caravan. I take it as a kindness if as you're traveling you could share any rumors when you come back this way. Anything you've heard of such a thing? That would be wondering. It's been a while since I've had contact with my brother, of course, but further information, of course, would be very, very welcome. Very welcome indeed. I think between them and they were famous for their great trade, but between those attacks and the Vulture Lord and his offer that he gives, I think many people will. Those who do arrive safely at Solney might find themselves unable to pay the gate fee to get in.
Is he an actual vulture?
No, he is one of the not unlike yourself, dear lady, and he kind of gestures to Flo, a genasi, but of air descent, if I understand. His steed and those of his companions are great vultures that prey upon those who wander. And often he likes to recruit those who specialize in ambush and creating false sounds, and he kind of gestures to Alistair. No offense meant, of course. And he kind of... No offense meant, of course. Boss says no. But, in any case, I would appreciate it if you could share some news. I will be stuck here myself, and I think we'll be seeing quite a few refugees coming this way in the upcoming time. A few have attempted to make the journey. I don't know how many have made it to Solney, but those are the earliest. And I know that the wet forces have made it to these struck areas, are stretched quite thin in escorting the wounded. In any case.
Right. Okay, DM question. Did we hear his name? I didn't get his name.
He did not give his name.
Okay. What can I... What's your name?
Kesseled.
Okay.
Kesselled. It's Kesseled. But, yeah. Feels like that's all I've got left of my heritage. Father gave it to me. It was his name, too.
What can you tell us about the attack that you experienced? How did it start?
Ambush. Strike from the skies. We're usually good about keeping our eyes around us. And I've heard, my people have heard rumors of this individual, but thought that he was closer in residence towards the south western part of Sanctus near Featherton, but seems to have relocated, seeking the trouble, like maggots seeking meat, I suppose. But he set traps and rained javelins and arrows down from the sky out of reach of our own defenses, and then swooped down after he had maimed and killed a few. Gave us the deal. We tried to explain, tried to talk him out of the fact that we don't have a lot of wealth. We had been trading and sharing what we could, but we surrendered what we had. But when we did not have more, he grew rather vicious. Gifted me with these, and he kind of again gestures to his scars on his chest, the brand, and planted his flag and soar off, probably to find the next victim. We had a fair few guards with us, hired folk, and his lot managed them no problem.
We are sorry for what you have gone through. Try to awkwardly comfort the man.
I was going to say, do you say it with that level of sincerity?
It's not something he's used to doing. That's...
Yeah, okay, I like it. Sure. Thank you. Yes. Well, you've been very generous. I can leave you to your meal if you'd like, or like I said, third floor, first on the left. Suite's ready for you whenever you like. And he slides the key.
Thank you.
Over. Just return it when you're ready to check out. But it's covered through the end of next turning. And you guys know that you've been traveling. At least Alistair, maybe a couple of other of you have some kind of timekeeping device on them. And you would know that you've been traveling for a good long while. It's been a full day's worth of travel and distance that you guys have covered, putting the Shining City at your back and moving forward towards the more rural areas of the Shining Valley.
Well, why don't we eat and then head up to the room and see what Brody has for us.
He kind of, Cackler holds out his hand. Brody has for us.
This, I think Anika has the parchment, is for us.
Yes,
We'll share.
yes, we just don't.
Share.
Yeah, we just don't want any prying eyes, just because Brody's not always on the up and up.
If there are any prying eyes to be had.
Yeah.
It's just gaslit here.
Yeah. Yeah, so anything you guys want to do otherwise before turning up to your suite?
Yes.
Okay.
I would like to take out a sheet of parchment and fashion an advertisement for Tristophan's fine wares. Putting on there, say that the Artifices sent you.
Use offer code ARTIFICES at Tristophan's General Store. Okay, yeah.
You mind if I post this here? It's a fantastic new up-and-coming shop in Sony, and I think travelers might be keen on getting a bit of a discount.
Make a persuasion check.
I know that. Hang on. Alito would appreciate the bartering. That's a 14.
Yes, well, I can't promise that many people will prioritize that as they come through, but you're welcome to post it on the bulletin, and you see like a sectioned wood frame with a few other little things posted, and as you go up to post it, you notice a description of the or a warning of the symbol of the Lord of Vultures, and kind of some more like warnings and stuff about it. You also see a few little notes just saying like, you will be missed, and then several people's names. Like long live the light of Solney, or things like that, posted up. Just little like remembrance notes. But yeah, you go ahead and post your advertisement, which is a little bit of an incongruence amidst the rest. But yeah.
And I'll make it flash just like the one that I had.
Okay.
It's the obituaries page, just with a huge ad.
That's not a nice example of modern society.
Yeah, well, it stands out. But yeah, otherwise, it's a quiet time. It's a good chance for you guys to do anything else, sort of downtime before resting or going up to your suite.
I would want to look through the other book I have while we're kind of sitting here nice and quietly, which was the other book I took. In Touch with the Land.
Yeah. So you can kind of leaf through it, get some of the basics, overall gist. It's a book on druidic teachings and totem magics of the Verdants.
Okay.
It often involves vision quests with the Elutia, spirits of the natural land. They talk about how these spirits have both dark and positive aspects and often form an interconnected bond with ancestors of the past who have made contact with them. Kind of a chance to reach into one's past through this. It is often such an ancestor who introduces new seekers to the Elutia. And most notably, this is something that stands out to you, it's new information to you. It's rumored, and the text hints at it, that the Cloud Carver Conclave uses the interconnectedness of the Elutia to coordinate their practices for the Rain Pact.
Interesting. Okay.
Seeing Taniel thumb through his book, Renasus is going to pull out the book that he borrowed and just try to take a general glance at it and see if it's something that I have time to look at.
Okay, so a couple things. It's a pretty thick tome, pretty hard to read. Couple things that stand out to you. It's written in Undercommon, which I know you speak, Renastus.
Yeah.
Even just handling the outside, you notice that the author's name, Hallides, is kind of off-center at the bottom. Just kind of unusual. You're not used to books being formatted that way. You also sort of flip through. It seems like it's full of a lot of unusual talkings. It seems like it's something that would take a little bit longer to get a lot more of. But as you're flipping through, its basic subject matter is around flickered individuals going mad. Also speaks about a couple other forms of madness. What mostly catches your eye as you're like sort of fanning through the pages is that there's a section of 3 pages that are completely blank in the middle of the book.
Okay.
And as you look at it, like kind of taking a closer look at it there, you notice that it sort of breaks off mid-sentence with saying, there have been some studies with the magics of the, and sort of breaks off, and it's a 3-page gap, and then returns with accelerated brain decay. Unclear if that is related to such perils to such common perils in the southeast. What is certain is that the connection to the night wall.
Okay.
So that's the thing that like stands out initially toward you, as you're.
You'll be a bad grandpa. You know what I'm gonna do?
Yeah.
I'm gonna dog ear that page.
Ooh.
Okay. Woo.
A library
Good thing
book.
Belter isn't here.
Yeah.
Ooh, it's not even my book.
Yeah. Gee.
I'll dog ear it.
Okay.
I'm gonna kind of side eye him and be like, he's not gonna like that. Go back to my reading.
I'm saving this good part in the book for him so that he doesn't have to skip one way to it. You can just find it right there. I'm doing him a favor.
Okay, sure, Opa.
Okay. So you guys are reviewing these books at your table down below, but is there anything else? The Vianthan man, he sort of just kind of looking mournfully over you guys, kind of a sad smile, kind of playing across his lips.
Do I see any playing cards anywhere?
You do not. It seems like the normal things, playing cards, dragon chess, that kind of stuff, which are common to both shrines to Leto and many revel dens, inns, places that you frequented at port, are distinctly lacking.
Shall we go upstairs?
Yes, let's see what that rat bastard has in store for us.
Enjoy your sleep.
Thank you.
You guys head on up.
Mm-hmm.
You guys just immediately read the letter?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Alrighty. And I can post this to the notes so you guys get the
Okay.
written version as well. But it says, "My dear companions, I write to urge you caution on so many fronts. Strange rumors are turning of your involvements with the Patchpole's downfall. Folk are asking questions, pointed, cutting questions. And even stranger, rumors of your involvement with the missing lumens moving shadeways in the arms of a key agent." And key is capitalized. It seems some seafarer types are also quite interested in stories regarding one of your party who bears a unique weapon. Keep a sharp eye out, particularly beside the sea. Even stranger tides talk of corrupt Vianthans and bristling shadows from the Cove's Key and from Shadveer itself. Strange sicknesses are spreading, or perhaps being spread. So many pieces are moving on the board, and things are progressing faster than I expected. The Lorebright program has changed everything, with adventurers gaining secrets, power, and wealth through it. Many diverse interests are hiring lore-enrolled groups as fronts or agents to gain access to information, hidden things. Both reaches are roiling with fearful anger. Anetka, I believe that you are developing your magic well. No doubt the Prismere will be approaching you regarding the limiting law soon enough. Consider your decision with care. There are many powers besides that of the Prismere. Currently, I am tracking a trail of interesting information that leads me to Lunavir, and are likely to lead further south as well. Seek me there if you wish to speak again. Clever regards, Brody.
Where did you come from, Flo?
What? She was kind of just like really focused about something else.
Well, I mean, Anika and Danielle were reading it, so you didn't. You didn't.
Yeah,
actually,
presumably this wasn't read aloud.
yeah, you didn't actually.
Nah,
hear
I
any
was
of that.
actually thinking about something else, but
So-
it's okay.
Are you? Where are you from again?
I've been many places. I'm not sure. I mean, literally, I lived on a ship for a while, so...
So you would say you're seafaring.
I mean, do I look seafaring?
Didn't
And
want to
she's very
stereotype.
obviously, like, piratey. It is
Is-
full-on pirate garb that she's, like,
There's
wearing.
some people after you, by chance.
Oh. That's weird. Okay.
Do I get the feeling that she knows anything about what I'm talking about?
Make an insight check.
That went for a fly. That's a 15.
Okay. You get the sense that she's not ultra surprised, but you can share anything further that might have picked up other than that.
Is there anything we should know?
Nah.
Insight check.
Yeah, go ahead and roll deception there, Flo.
Um, 8.
8. You know, she says it pretty guilelessly with like a no.
Not trying to really hide, but...
Well, that's quite...
Yeah.
Yeah. Just FYI, folks, there are... I think we expected this, but there are rumors in the underworld about how we took down the Patchpole's gang. So... And it also has been spreading about how we might be involved with the missing lumens, so need to tread carefully.
That barnacle sniffing terror fleas.
On that we
Got
can
it.
agree.
Yes.
Barnacle sniffing.
Oh, yep, that's going on the list.
Alright.
Hey, where's that sloth stuff? Does the lore bright stone, do you think that would do anything with the lore bright stuff?
So I'll pull out the lore bright stone. Can I touch it to your fiber?
With the hand motions and all. I don't know.
I guess I should have done that while we were in the trees, but retrospect.
She'll just, not knowing quite how to respond to that, she'll just pull out a tuft of it and hand it over.
Yeah, I'll pull out the lore bright stone and kind of like, I guess, touch it to the sloth hair.
Okay. Yeah, as soon as it makes contact, there's sort of like a bright flash of greenish white light. And the stone seems to carry just like a little gossamer thread within it now. Kind of floating, kind of like the Windows screensaver just bouncing off the edges a little bit, but in a very slow and like dreamlike pattern.
Grandpa, can I see your algae?
Oh, I suppose. And I'll take out the vial.
I'll kind of pull like a little bit towards the top of the vial and touch the stone to it too. And then I see what happens.
Yeah.
Okay. It's a smaller flash and a tiny little speck of another thread kind of flowing a little bit that joins the first. So, yeah.
I suppose, depending on how much we want the Lorebright program to know, while we didn't pull this out under the Patchable Games, we still have Mrs. Slimy. Once we get back to your cousin, we could touch her to it. Or
Yeah. Money is good.
I'm so glad you make such definitive statements.
Money is good. Barnacle sniffer. Alright, is there anything else that anyone wants to do before turning in?
I'd like to mist my plant.
Okay. You said it gently. So you guys are up now in the suite. You've gone up now. Open the door and stuff like that. Suite might be a bit of a bold term. Most nobles would probably, Solnian nobles would upturn their nose at such a thing. But there is a series of 4-poster beds plus smaller like couch pull away kind of beds as well that can be pulled down. There's a writing desk. There is a few end tables and a comfortable sitting place across from the fireplace. So it's a large accommodations, easily large enough for several normal tavern rooms, but not the most lavish compared to some lifestyle. I mean, you guys saw the inside of the Kelnara Manor, and it pales in comparison to that. You do see over the fireplace, over the mantle, again, the sort of symbol. It's done in like a tapestry, old, torn, frayed at the edges, but of wagon wheel, a diverse splitting road, forked road, and the campfire, the symbol of Alito, peddler queen. So you guys are doing that. Renasa sets down his plant, and give it some misting, and seems to be doing okay, despite the journey. Seems to be handling it quite well. Not noticing any buds or anything, but which is to be expected, given your understanding of its biology. But yes,
Right.
It's a nice looking otherwise. Yeah. So,
Are there Goliath-sized beds?
one of the beds is pretty big. It's sort of like a human-sized king bed, but it for a man of your height, you're gonna get the sort of little like feet flop over the edge.
Okay.
Will the
Kind of
fold-out
situation.
bed be closer to the ground so your legs can at least rest on the
I was
ground
thinking
off
like
the
pulling
bed?
an empty bed from another room and just out on the bottom of the bed.
It's like
Just
like
lengthening
diagonal
it.
across it too.
Or just like pull a mattress
Yeah.
off.
Do you want to go do that?
Set on the
Yeah,
ground.
Okay.
that's an option. I'll do
You
it.
and kind of find that the other rooms on this floor are locked, other suites. But you go on down to the next floor and sort of Up the
Slate's strong. He can do it.
yeah, you can do it, no problem. Up the stairs from the second to third floor, and kind of just get a glare a little bit. Just sort of, well, can't get worse.
Oh.
Poor guy.
And you add it to your room to make a length of it. Sure, I like it. Cackler's just gonna sort of do it like a leap onto the bed and just like squat.
Flo's gonna lounge back on a bed.
Annette's gonna just completely curl up in a bed and use Mr. Mittens as sort of like a stuffed animal.
Yeah.
We should be pretty safe, but maybe we should still do a watch of sorts for night tonight, just in case.
Yeah. Can't hurt.
I'll take the first part of it.
Bingo.
Slate will take one.
I'll take on the slate. And,
Kind of pecks affectionately at your hair again.
Affectionately, okay.
Oh.
Please don't.
Friendly peck.
Okay, it's preening me.
Yeah, could be. So we got first watch with the cackler.
Yeah.
I'll do. Wait.
Second watch, I think Annetka and Slate were going.
yeah, so it would just be the two
Oh, yeah,
of you.
yeah.
For third watch if Renostus is willing.
I would quite enjoy a full night's rest if I may.
Greedy old man.
And then seeing after seeing night's rest, okay, I guess I could stay up.
The cackler bursts out in his odd laughter, earning the moniker, perhaps. But then kind of nods approvingly after you amend your statement.
Okay.
Alrighty.
Should I roll with advantage or just roll?
Yeah, go ahead and roll with advantage, just
Okay.
to simplify things. So the rest of you guys are bedding down, and the two of them are staying up. Cackler, he's kind of looking all around, and particularly at the front door and the window that you guys have. Bless you,
Bless
Cat.
you.
What'd you get?
Sorry.
18.
18. You notice Slate's kind of stirring weirdly in his movement, but maybe that's just because he's adjusting to the big double weird combo bed that you've got going on here. But otherwise, not a lot of movement and stuff like that. But you hear the cackler just sort of in the sounding voice of the man below. You just hear him go.
Oh.
Bingo.
Well, at various points during the watch, and probably like towards the end when Annika and Slate get up, I still have my gloves off, and I'm just kind of, I'm starting the process of casting Word of Radiance, but not fully doing it, just enough to get the tattoos to light up, and just kind of watching how they do that, and then letting the spell go before I actually explode on
Nice, I like it.
radiant magic on people.
He kind of sees you doing that and begins to like tinker with the big barreled crossbow situation. It looks like he's attaching like wheels or legs to it and stuff like that. So he's like got a lot of parts spread out on his bed as he's like working on it and stuff like that. He's taken off his big white robe with all the colorful patches on it. And as your watch passes, which it does without event, he's writing something down on a scrap of paper, one of his notebooks, where he writes to communicate more complicated stuff. And as he kind of like pecks Slate on the head when it's his turn to wake up, and shows you the note, which says, "Can you identify my cloak?"
I mean, I'll take a look at it.
Yeah. All right. Great. But before we get to that part, Slate. So, kind of backtracking just a teens. We'll go ahead and, while you're asleep, go ahead and get to what you experience. So, in your sleep, you begin to drift into a far and floating place, high above the land, high above the clouds, high above the earth. And you see libraries and tomes just all open to you, surrounding the space. You see whirling scrolls and hieroglyphs, all in languages you do not understand, flowing past. You see yourself then looking down. You see yourself on the land, riding a whirling whirlwind of arcane flame and violet lightning, and you're wielding these vast powers, and then all of a sudden gone, and you just drop plummeting to the earth, and you plummet through in this dream into the dark, vast blackness below. And the only thing that you can just barely make out in this darkness is a massive metallic orb of swirling metal material, a huge orb that's suspended, floating above the air, above the ground, and above you. You'd hazard a guess as to say it's probably 20 to about 20 meters across, so about 60-ish feet. And as you're looking upon it, you hear words, like repetition, from Tennille and from DragonPoetSociety of the Lorebright program. You hear their words kind of echoing back and forth in your head as you're looking at this, and you hear, Duovian history is worth a premium. One particular symbol of hieroglyphs stands out to you, a jagged line and stylized spear or blade with further expanding lines from it. It kind of floats toward you, and a searing light floods over your scalp with pain. You feel blood over your fingertips as you paw at it, and you wake with an image imprinted on your mind. You don't even notice or feel the cackler pecking at you. And you see, sort of in your mind, this image of a faceless, sort of shadow-robed figure or shadowed figure pointing southeast and conveying a sense of expectation. And you notice a little bit of wetness on the back of your neck. And Tennille and Cackler both notice a fading light at the back of his scalp area. And Cackler just kind of shows you the note.
Both have weird glowing parts now.
You what?
Weird glowing parts now.
There was a light at the back of your head.
What do you mean? I was just dreaming. My head's hurting a bit, but...
If I went around to the back of him, was there anything on his head?
It's faded now, you can't see it.
Okay.
But you do notice there is some blood on his fingertips as he's pulled it away. But he doesn't appear to be bleeding on his scalp.
Huh.
Weird.
Well, that was a really weird dream. My head's hurting. Got blood on my hands. What do you want, Chips?
Points to his note again, which says, "Can you identify my robe, please?"
And then we'll go through and all right, I'll take a look.
Okay. So again, you kind of get that overlaying sensation over your vision, and the robe seems to sort of reveal its own. It's like you're looking at the true form of the robe rather than its physical parts, and you're kind of seeing what it's able to do, the different shapes that the patches can come across and make. So this is a robe of useful items. I have the card, so I'll give it to Nate next time he's around. It's a robe of useful items. As you know, sort of off-white robe covered with various colorful patches depicting tools, trinkets, and animals. It has 25 different patches. I can go through the different things, but just as a quick thing, you can use an action to detach one of the patches and cause it to become the object or creature that it depicts. Once the last patch is removed, the robe becomes a normal robe, no longer magical. It has the following patches, big long list, and I've made a little checkbox so you can check off as people are using them. This does not require attunement. But has a couple daggers, a couple lanterns, which look lit in their depictions, a couple just sacks, bags, a few mirrors, 10-foot pole, rope, a 10x10 barred iron door, a window, a 12-foot, or rather a rowboat, a wooden ladder, a pair of mastiffs, 2 of those in fact. One with the one that depicts a riding horse, saddlebags on the saddle. One that depicts a bag with like a coin purse overflowing with gold. One that depicts a cluster of 4 red potions. One that depicts like a black cube. One that depicts a scroll with some arcane writing on it. So those are the main ones. But yeah, I'll hold on to it unless you guys wanted to see it. But if it comes up and you guys are like, use this patch, I'll use it or whatever for the need of that.
In identifying it, do I figure like the horse one, for example, is the horse going to disappear after a set amount of time, or is it just going to be a horse?
You don't have certainty in that.
Okay.
Cool.
But the creatures that you came across from the Patchbull's hideout at the Planky Pint Inn, they seemed material, and you didn't really get a chance to experiment with how long they would have lasted. But you get the sense that this might depict itself in the same way, a little bit off, like maybe inkish or sketched coloration, like the hounds had. But you're not sure how permanent they would be.
Got it.
In general, you get the sense that it's at least not nothing in duration.
Okay.
It would be a little bit of time. So, but otherwise, the watch shift changes. So those of you who are on second watch, so Netka and Slate.
Oh.
Go ahead and make your perception check.
All right.
Alright. 9. Drop a stitch there.
Cool. Nat 20 then.
Woo!
Oh.
You are pretty distracted, stressed about the rumors.
Battery.
Batteries.
That's plugged in.
Okay.
I'll go mess
Yeah,
with
We
do you wanna
got
take a look at that.
scooched.
Maybe.
But in any case, you're pretty distracted. Maybe stress knitting, maybe handling things as best you can, but obviously it's a pretty worrying time for you. The uncertainty, these other rumors of bad things attacking survivors on the road. You don't know what could have happened, how things could have fallen out. But one thing's for certain, you're definitely ready to have some answers. And the other thing that's for certain is that you're not at all paying attention to what else is going on in the room.
Sounds familiar.
Yeah. Slate.
Yes.
Well, actually, before you do that, do you want to check to see mouse up to the top and see if the battery symbol is actually being?
It's
Actually
charging.
confirmed that it's charging.
It's
Okay.
at the bottom.
We might have to.
Time?
Yeah.
You might be dying. Yeah.
Yeah.
Roll a death saving throw.
We don't do those.
Yeah, I'm gonna go to break really fast so that way you don't get screen exposure. But we'll be just right back in just a second here, guys. Thanks for your patience.
She's actually in the privy. We're going.
Yeah.
She's in the
Full
preview.
realism. Okay. Yep. Just sorting out a charging thing with the disembodied technological pheromancy that is Renastus from afar. I mean, man, his and Alistair's work has really come a long way in the recent time with the artificer. Things. Anyway,
Truly
so
a technological marvel.
yeah, truly. Anyway, Slate, with your nat 20 roll, you're mostly looking inward, with what's going on and experiencing. But you get the sense that it's a very all quiet, peaceful kind of time. You're trying to puzzle out kind of what all this is coming from to you.
Is the dream vivid? Is it?
Yeah,
Just...
it's vivid.
Okay.
It's piecemeal though, flashing to black, like dreams do, kind of shifting, to these different moments. But you're at least remembering those things and feeling that sort of tug and expecting sensation kind of burned along your memory. But otherwise, you're certain that there isn't really any big, no big giant coming knocking at the window or anything like that. There's a shade cloth over the window and stuff like that, and you kind of are enjoying the moment of sort of dimness or darkness rather than the constant horizon, constant sunlight all the time. But otherwise, not a huge upturn or anything like that of that. You're noticing Anetka, of course, very rapidly stress knitting and clearly looking very distressed. Otherwise, on your watch, that's about it.
While I'm on my watch, would Slate know what's to the southeast of his location?
Well, you got the map that Galen lent you, so you could always consult that. But the southeast, a lot lies to the southeast. Most immediately to the southeast, here I'm going to lift this so people at home can see. But so Brightmeadow, sort of the region that they're in here. So to the southeast immediately is sort of the Dawnstones region of mountains and stuff like that, and then continuing on to sort of the city of Nirwal at the foot of those mountains. There's the Cauldron, the lake there amidst the mountains, and either further on some of the other lands that extend beyond this map. Here, Brendan, I can go ahead and pass this over to you so you can have a look yourself. But this is the map that you were given, so this is the map that you'll have the relevant information on. So you're not quite sure, but as you're looking at it, you get the sense that it extends beyond the boundaries of this map.
Got it. Thank you.
But you at least get a sense of the placement, the scale, where you are and what things you might be running along to know that you're moving in the right direction. But it's like coming back to you a little bit, but it feels a little new.
Got it.
So. Next is the third watch. Renostus and Flo. We'll give Flo a second to do what she would like to do during her watch when she's got the downtime. But Renostus, why don't you just go ahead and make the perception check with advantage to get that part of that out of the way?
Yeah. It's gonna be pretty good. Let's see. 24.
24?
24.
24. Very nice roll. Yeah, so you two noticed that Slate was twitching rather nervously in his sleep. And he continues to do so after he's gone to bed. You also notice that you also hear some sort of soft crying noises from the floors below. As the cackler is exhaling, he's kind of
it's just quiet enough that the microphone won't pick up what it is, so you're just going.
Oh.
Which is amazing.
He's like giggling. He's going.
His exhale is a giggle when he sleeps, which is just terrible. Could you imagine sleeping next to that?
And
you would take a pillow and put it over their head for sure.
You're also hearing some little scratchy sounds in the floorboards and stuff. Maybe some little critters making refuge in different parts of this sort of rundown area, but nothing that catches your eye as immediate trouble.
Okay.
So yeah, I'd say that's about it.
I want to do some stuff. I'll wait for it.
Okay. Flo, you're on your watch. We're on your watch. We already did the roll for perception. Renostus just took advantage
Okay, that sounds great.
with it. But think about maybe... Kat was just going to tell me what Renostus wanted to do during the watch a little bit more. But think about what your character wants to do as well. If there's anything you want to do on watch. So Renostus, let's hear it.
So he'll have his eyes shut, just super sleepy old man. And with his eyes shut, almost like it's such a habit, such a tradition. He will gather some tea-making materials out of his bag and lay it all out, still eyes shut, not even fully awake, and start to brew a very strong tea. And after it's done, still not eyes open, he'll hand a cup over to Flo, and then go back to his own and sip, and just listen to the mice on the floor.
Aw.
Aw.
Well, you got your cup of tea.
Japanese.
Japanese. Cup of bees.
And it's full circle. You gonna drink it?
Yeah, I'll go ahead and drink it and just, like, kind of give him a squeeze on the shoulder, but not really knowing what to say because I felt awkward about the bee incident.
Just silence. Content. You don't get any bad vibes from him. Just, sipping his tea.
Just sipping his tea.
That was yesterday. That was the past.
That was the best.
Wait, days here. It's all the same day.
Well, the turnings, but yeah.
Since
Not a lot of light change, that's for sure. Day and light. Stuff like that. Yeah.
Can I pull out my pistol and look a little more at it and try to learn more about it? / like, kind of nudge Ren on the arm a little bit and kind of like show him that I'm looking at it.
Is that a threat?
No, more of like I knew he'd be curious, so I was just like,
He's got his eyes still haven't been open this entire time, and he nudge, and then it goes super wide.
and I like stare him down, and I'm like, shh.
Nicholas, what can I tell her about her weapon? Do I know anything about it? Do I?
Okay, so go ahead and roll an intelligence check with advantage for Nostis. Flo, you can also go ahead and roll just a straight intelligence check.
Okay.
You're just trying to get a cursory overlook of it.
Yeah,
moment,
just
kinda
to like get more
understanding.
familiar with it, more
Sure.
understanding
The
how
same roll twice.
it works and how I can
Yeah,
what can be.
yeah, just general
Changed.
intelligence is good there.
Yeah.
Kat, what'd you get?
12.
Okay,
17.
17. Okay. It's one of those moments where you're like reiterating things that are obvious to make it seem like you're a little more informed. You're like, it runs on it runs on lumen powder. It runs on lumen powder.
It seems to be a sort of projectile. Maybe a gun of sorts. I don't know if guns are in
They're
this
not
moment.
they're not very well known at all. It's a very rare thing. You wouldn't have heard of it, especially with that
A
roll.
projectile device, perhaps. And only based on seeing her use it. Literally just saying observations that, like, she already knows.
Yeah. So he's not really telling
I'll
you
just
anything
like
new.
I'll nod and kind of smirk at him like okay.
But he might redraw attention to the fact that it seems modular. Like there are clearly sectionable pieces that can be unscrewed and like opened up. There's a second barrel to it that seems completely unused in any of your usings so far. And you kind of reacquaint yourself with that a little bit as well.
Okay.
So go ahead and find a place to mark just like investigation, a weapon, or however you want to say it, and just mark one tick mark.
Okay.
But yeah, you get the sense that definitely this is something that you could use a lot more tools to investigate a little further. Seeing maybe some of what Kapler was looking at and doing, he might have some more insight as well as he was developing some kind of weapon as well, tinkering around with that kind of stuff. That's something that might be an interest of his as well that you could apply. But certainly there's more tools that could be applied here as well, and tools maybe that you don't currently possess.
Oh, where'd you find this? I've never seen anything like this before, and I'm quite familiar with lumen technology.
A friend of mine loaned it to me to learn more about it. That's why they dropped me off in Solney.
Make a deception check.
Oh!
I don't know if Rhinoceros would think that she's lying.
8.
It becomes obvious.
A friend!
There's a little catch in her voice when she says friend. But you're really marveling at this new device. And like you said, you're rather familiar with some of the lumen technology. You're familiar with the lambent ships, solar-powered vessels, and things like that via the lumens. But you've never seen something like this.
So hearing her response, he'll just do the, like, Kermit meme where he's just... None of my damn business.
about
Okay.
it. You feel good about it,
Okay.
and it seems like it's, time has come, and you actually notice the cackler has a little, like a wind-up alarm clock kind of tinkering thing that he's got.
That's just me snoring.
Horrifying.
The sound's
Watching.
so cut out.
If he's near me, I'm gonna go to slap him like with an alarm clock.
Yeah, the alarm clock is on the other side of him, so you just whack him.
Oh, what in the name of soul?
And kind of, what in the name of soul?
My gun is tucked back away.
Okay, and he just quickly stops it away, grabs it, and just stows it in one of his pockets, and then he kind of holds out both of his hands, and just says, "Patches."
Oh, do I have the?
Yeah, he gave it to you to inspect.
Oh, yeah, I'll hand it back over.
Puts it on. And he pads over to the door, opens it, and gestures out very over-exaggeratedly gallantly.
I think the Birdman is right. We should get going.
I think the Birdman is right.
Oh,
As we
no.
leave, I'll give him a very exaggerated bow.
Bingo. All right, and you guys are heading on down. Maybe the owner's sleeping in, or the current owner, caretaker. But there are already some bowls of stew laying on the bar. And Cackler just goes up and begins wolfing it down. But honey!
I'll eat stew too.
Okay.
We all will, yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah. So, and between the before going to sleep and then this, you don't have to eat a ration for this coming turning, but you
Right.
all should mark our ration off for your previous day from that. So I'll just mark that off for.
I probably didn't get enough from the honeycomb yet.
That was a little nice extra snack, so much as
Yeah, a little energy
a
boost.
full-on, thing, full-on work meal. That's the word. All right. Eating, readying yourself. Is there anything you guys want to do before you head out on it for your second leg of the journey toward Brightmeadow?
Give myself a vigilant blessing again.
Okay. Like it?
With how shredded my, everything other than my hide leathers are,
Mm-hmm.
would I be able to tie them in I don't know, across my eyes, where it's you have a shirt above your face kind of a thing. You can see through it kind of. It's just not as bright.
Yeah, it'll help. Keep your eyes
I figure it's
safer.
still disadvantaged.
You'll still be at disadvantage, but yeah, characterfully,
Less
I love it. You're also moving more southerly now, so you remember that the light comes from the north, so you're kind of turning your back a little bit more towards it. Although at this angle, the sun is pretty high.
Gotcha.
In any case, though, you managed to do that without too much trouble. I'd say still disadvantage for perception, but certainly it's a little less painful on the eyes. And Cackler sort of, again, opens the door and gestures gallantly out to the outside. It's very swooping.
Gonna do my prestidigitation trick again with the air, the clothing around my chest and
Okay.
whatnot. Keep it cool.
Nice.
How big is the cackler again?
I think he's 5'5", somewhere in that region. It's pretty small.
So what are the odds of being able to put him on my shoulders, just up he goes?
If he was willing.
Well, that's up to you, I guess.
I feel like Nate would be all about it, so he just sort of.
Oh, yes.
Oh god, give a nice vantage point.
Yeah, just picturing this. 'Cause you're 8 feet tall. Cackler would be taller than I am in real life.
Yeah. Yes.
But yeah, he's about my height.
Cackler would be probably somewhere around 10 and a half, 11 feet up. Where his eyes are.
Yeah, probably.
Hey, Chirps, keep an eye out for that vulture guy.
Vulture guy. All right, so you guys move along.
Do we have water at disposal at this place?
Yeah, there's a pump that you can get, like a pump and a tap.
Okay,
Yeah,
I'll
we should-
refill my.
Yeah, we should all
Yeah.
refill our water.
Yeah.
Do we have to say we're doing it every time, or can it be assumed that we're doing
Can
it
it
every
be?
time?
Yeah.
In this particular case, there is a readily available resource. If there's a source of water like the brook before, you guys weren't running that low anyway. But
Okay.
yeah, I'm assuming that when you guys are taking stock provisions and stuff, you will
It's
refill your
assumed that
water
we
skins
refill?
if
Okay.
there is a source by which to do it. If there's a reason for that to be outstanding or something from the norm, then yeah, I would say don't worry about it.
Okay.
But as we are readying for our next leg of the journey, we're actually going to call it a little bit shorter this evening. So we're going to call it there as we ready for the next thing. I know no combat this time. There was a chance with the Vertiback, but you guys managed to sort of skirt around it a little bit more and come up with a different couple clever uses. Good job to get some resources there. So we're going to go ahead and call it for tonight. But thank you so much for those of you who are watching at home and on YouTube or whenever you guys do that. Please share this and stuff like that. Trying to get it a little bit more out and letting people know about it. So if you've enjoyed, let someone know about it. Share it on whatever social media people use. So anyway, thank you guys so much for that. We're going to pick up next week, hopefully with Nate back with us. Kat's probably going to be via screen for a little bit, but this worked out okay. You're very brightly haloed in the picture. So, but it's nice to still have you along with us. So thank you for joining us, Kat. And yeah, we're going to go ahead and sign off there. So catch us next time, and find us at Dragon Poet Society on Instagram, DragonPoetSociety.com. Or on YouTube. We've got extra lore videos and stuff to check out. So,
They're fantastic.
yeah, have a look at those. Thanks, guys. Have a good night.
Good night.
Good night.
Good night.